Hello friends, welcome to our story podcast. Let's begin the story The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence Part 2. Of course, said the boy, I started it for mother. She said she had no luck because father is unlucky. So I thought if I was lucky, it might stop whispering. What might stop whispering? Our house. I hate our house for whispering. What does it whisper? Why? The boy fidgeted. Why? I don't know. But it's always short of money, uncle. I know it, son, I know it. People send mother writs, don't you, uncle? I'm afraid I do, said the uncle. And then the house whispers, like people laughing at you behind your back. It's awful, that is why I thought if I was lucky, you might stop it, added the uncle. The boy watched him with big blue eyes that had an uncanny cold fire in them, and he said never a word. Well, then, said the uncle. What are we doing? I shouldn't like mother to know I was lucky, said the boy. Why not, son? She'd stop me. I don't think she would. Oh, and the boy writhed in an odd way. I don't want her to know, uncle. All right, son. We'll manage it without her knowing. They managed it very easily. Paul, at the other suggestion, handed over £5,000 to his uncle, who deposited it with the family lawyer, who was then to inform Paul's mother that a relative had put £5,000 into his hands, which sum was to be paid out £1,000 at a time on the mother's birthday for the next 5 years. So she'll have a birthday present of £1,000 for 5 successive years, said Uncle Oscar. I hope it won't make it all the harder for her later. Paul's mother had her birthday in November. The house had been whispering worse than ever lately, and, even in spite of his luck, Paul could not bear up against it. He was very anxious to see the effect of the birthday letter telling his mother about the £1,000. When there were no visitors, Paul now took his meals with his parents as he was beyond the nursery control. His mother went into town nearly every day. She had discovered that she had an odd knack of sketching furs and dress materials. So she worked secretly in the studio of a friend who was the chief artist for the leading drapers. She drew the figures of ladies in furs and ladies in silk and sequins for the newspaper advertisements. This young woman artist earned several £1,000s a year. But Paul's mother only made several hundreds, and she was again dissatisfied. She so wanted to be first in something, and she did not succeed, even in making sketches for drapery advertisements. She was down to breakfast on the morning of her birthday. Paul watched her face as she read her letters. He knew the lawyer's letter. As his mother read it, her face hardened and became more expressionless. Then, a cold, determined look came on her mouth. She hid the letter under the pile of others and said not a word about it. Didn't you have anything nice in the post for your birthday, mother? Said Paul. Quite moderately nice, she said, her voice cold and absent. She went away to town without saying more. But in the afternoon, Uncle Oscar appeared. He said Paul's mother had had a long interview with the lawyer, asking if the whole 5,000 could not be advanced at once, as she was in debt. What do you think, uncle? Said the boy. I leave it to you, son. Oh, let her have it. Then, we can get some more with the other, said the boy. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, laddie, said Uncle Oscar. But I'm sure to know for the Grand National, or the Lincolnshire, or else the Derby. I'm sure to know for one of them, said Paul. So Uncle Oscar signed the agreement and Paul's mother touched the whole 5,000. Then something very curious happened. The voices in the house suddenly went mad, like a chorus of frogs on a spring evening. There were certain new furnishings, and Paul had a tutor. He was really going to Eton, his father's school, in the following autumn. There were flowers in the winter and a blossoming of the luxury Paul's mother had been used to. And yet the voices in the house, behind the sprays of mimosa and almond blossoms, and from under the piles of iridescent cushions, simply trilled and screamed in a sort of ecstasy. There must be more money. OHH. There must be more money. Oh, now W. Now WW there must be more money. More than ever. More than ever. It frightened Paul terribly. He studied away at his Latin and Greek with his tutor. But his intense hours were spent with Bassett. The Grand National had gone by. He had not known and had lost £100. Summer was at hand. He was in agony for the Lincoln. But even for the Lincoln he didn't know, and he lost £50. He became wild-eyed and strange as if something were going to explode in him. Let it alone, son. Don't you bother about it, urged Uncle Oscar. But it was as if the boy couldn't really hear what his uncle was saying. I've got to know for the Derby. I've got to know for the Derby. The child reiterated, his big blue eyes blazing with a sort of madness. His mother noticed how overwrought he was. You'd better go to the seaside. Wouldn't you like to go now to the seaside, instead of waiting? I think you'd better, she said, looking down at him anxiously, her heart curiously heavy because of him. But the child lifted his uncanny blue eyes. I couldn't possibly go before the Derby, mother, he said. I couldn't possibly. Why not? She said, her voice becoming heavy when she was opposed. Why not? You can still go from the seaside to see the Derby with your Uncle Oscar, if that's what you wish. No need for you to wait here. Besides, I think you care too much about these races. It's a bad sign. My family had been a gambling family, and you won't know till you grow up how much damage it has done. But it has done damage. I shall have to send Bassett away and ask Uncle Oscar not to talk racing to you unless you promise to be reasonable about it. Go away to the seaside and forget it. You're all nerves. I'll do what you like, mother, so long as you don't send me away till after the Derby, the boy said. Send you away from where? Just from this house. Yes, he said, gazing at her. Why, you curious child, what makes you care about this house so much? Suddenly, I never knew you loved it. He gazed at her without speaking. He had a secret within a secret, something he had not divulged even to Bassett or to his Uncle Oscar. But his mother, after standing undecided and a little bit sullen for some moments, said, Very well, then. Don't go to the seaside till after the Derby, if you don't wish it. But promise me you won't let your nerves go to pieces. Promise you won't think so much about horse racing and events, as you call them. Oh, no, said the boy casually. I won't think much about them, mother. You needn't worry. I wouldn't worry, mother, if I were you. If you were me and I were you, said his mother, I wonder what we should do. But you know you needn't worry, mother. Don't you? The boy repeated. I should be awfully glad to know it, she said wearily. Oh, well, you can, you ought to know, you needn't worry, he insisted. Ought I? Then I'll see about it, she said. Paul's secret of secrets was his wooden horse, that which had no name. Since he was emancipated from a nurse and a nursery governess, he had had his rocking horse removed to his own bedroom at the top of the house. Surely you're too big for a rocking horse, his mother had remonstrated. Well, you see, mother, till I can have a real horse, I like to have some sort of animal about, had been his quaint answer. Do you feel he keeps you company? She laughed. Oh, yes. He's very good. He always keeps me company when I'm there, said Paul. So the horse, rather shabby, stood in an arrested prance in the boy's bedroom. The Derby was drawing near, and the boy grew more and more tense. He hardly heard what was spoken to him. He was very frail, and his eyes were really uncanny. His mother had sudden strange seizures of uneasiness about him. Sometimes for half an hour, she would feel a sudden anxiety about him that was almost anguish. She wanted to rush to him at once and know that he was safe. 2 nights before the Derby, she was at a big party in town, when one of her rushes of anxiety about her boy, her firstborn, gripped her heart till she could hardly speak. She fought with the feeling, might and main, for she believed in common sense. But it was too strong. She had to leave the dance and go downstairs to telephone to the country. The children's nursery governess was terribly surprised and startled at being rung up in the night. "Are the children all right, Miss Wilmot?" "Oh yes, they are quite all right." "Master Paul? Is he all right?" "He went to bed as right as a trivet." "Shall I run up and look at him?" "No," said Paul's mother reluctantly. "No. Don't trouble. It's all right. Don't sit up. We shall be home fairly soon." She did not want her son's privacy intruded upon. "Very good," said the governess. It was about 1 o'clock when Paul's mother and father drove up to their house. All was still. Paul's mother went to her room and slipped off her white fur cloak. She had told her maid not to wait up for her. She heard her husband downstairs, mixing a whiskey and soda. And then, because of the strange anxiety at her heart, she stole upstairs to her son's room. Noiselessly she went along the upper corridor. Was there a faint noise? What was it? She stood, with arrested muscles, outside his door, listening. There was a strange, heavy and yet not loud noise. Her heart stood still. It was a soundless noise, yet rushing and powerful. Something huge and violent, hushed motion. What was it? What in God's name was it? She ought to know. She felt that she knew the noise. She knew what it was. Yet she could not place it. She couldn't say what it was. And on it went, like a madness. Softly, frozen with anxiety and fear, she turned the door handle. The room was dark. Yet in the space near the window, she heard and saw something move to and fro. She gazed in fear and amazement. Then suddenly she switched on the light and saw her son, in his green pajamas, madly surging on the rocking horse. The blaze of light suddenly lit him up, as he urged the wooden horse, and lit her up, as she stood, blonde, in her dress of pale green and crystal in the doorway. "Paul," she cried, "whatever are you doing?" "It's Malabar," he screamed in a powerful, strange voice. "It's Malabar." His eyes blazed at her for one strange and senseless second, as he ceased urging his wooden horse. Then he fell with a crash to the ground and she, all her tormented motherhood flooding upon her, rushed to gather him up. But he was unconscious, and unconscious he remained, with some brain fever. He talked and tossed, and his mother sat stonily by his side. "Malabar. It's Malabar. Bassett. Bassett. I know. It's Malabar." So the child cried, trying to get up and urge the rocking horse that gave him his inspiration. "What does he mean by Malabar?" asked the hot-frozen mother. "I don't know," said the father stonily. "What does he mean by Malabar?" she asked her brother Oscar. "It's one of the horses running for the Derby," was the answer. And, in spite of himself, Oscar Cresswell spoke to Bassett, and himself put 1,000 on Malabar, at 14-1. The third day of the illness was critical. They were waiting for a change. The boy, with his rather long, curly hair, was tossing ceaselessly on the pillow. He neither slept nor regained consciousness, and his eyes were like blue stones. His mother sat, feeling her heart had gone, turned actually into a stone. In the evening, Oscar Cresswell did not come. But Bassett sent a message, saying could he come up for a moment? Just one moment? Paul's mother was very angry at the intrusion but, on second thought, she agreed. The boy was the same. Perhaps Bassett might bring him to consciousness. The gardener, a shortish fellow with a little brown moustache and sharp little brown eyes, tiptoed into the room, touched his imaginary cap to Paul's mother, and stole to the bedside, staring with glittering, smallish eyes at the tossing, dying child. "Master Paul," he whispered, "Master Paul. Malabar came in first all right, a clean win. I did as you told me. You've made over 70,000 pounds. You've got over 80,000. Malabar came in all right, Master Paul. Malabar. Malabar. Did I say Malabar, Mother? Did I say Malabar? Do you think I'm lucky, Mother? I knew Malabar, didn't I? Over 80,000 pounds. I call that lucky, don't you, Mother? Over 80,000 pounds. I knew. Didn't I know I knew? Malabar came in all right. If I ride my horse till I'm sure, then I tell you, Bassett, you can go as high as you like. Did you go for all you were worth, Bassett? I went 1,000 on it, Master Paul. I never told you, Mother, that if I can ride my horse and get there, then I'm absolutely sure. Oh, absolutely, Mother. Did I ever tell you? I am lucky. No, you never did, said his mother. But the boy died in the night. And even as he lay dead, his mother heard her brother's voice saying to her, My God, Hester, you're 80-odd thousand to the good, and a poor devil of a son to the bad. But, poor devil, he's best gone out of a life where he rides his rocking horse to find a winner. See you in the next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.